Hi, I'm Kelly Kramer.
And I'm Scott Sipker. Welcome to a special photography edition of Iowa Outdoors.
Funding for Iowa Outdoors is provided by the Claude P. Small, Catherine Small Cousins, and William Carl Cousins Fund at the Lincoln Way Community Foundation in Clinton County to support nature programming on Iowa Public Television.
Iowa Communications Network. ICN's connectivity offers Iowa's rural hospitals and clinics access to telemedicine opportunities. Iowans can eliminate distance barriers by receiving medical treatment closer to home using remote specialists located miles away.
Many of Iowa's natural wonders you'll find on IPTV can be found in Iowa Outdoors magazine, the Iowa DNR's premier resource for conservation, education, and recreation activities. Subscription information can be found online at iowadnr.gov.
Welcome to Terry Trueblood Recreation Area in Iowa City. Nature photography has captivated the individuals profiled in the special edition of Iowa Outdoors. Each photographer used Iowa's wildlife and outdoor environments to inspire their creative skills.
And perhaps impact something more important in their lives. Since our first season of Iowa Outdoors, these photography stories have also captured the imaginations of our viewers.
Bioluminescence is a strange quality found in nature. It seems better suited to the script of a science fiction television show. But each summer, Iowans witness the simple wonder of bioluminescence in their own backyards, with the first sight of lightning bugs.
Radim Schreiber takes that wonder to another level by capturing every moment of pulsating light with his camera lens. The end product is equally captivating, as the flashes of bioengineered luminance are frozen in time.
Radim Schreiber works as a photographer-videographer at the Sky Factory in Fairfield, Iowa. The company creates a variety of products that allows people to enjoy the outdoors, even when they're limited by an indoor environment.
Sky Factory creates illusions of nature, and we build sky ceilings and virtual windows, which are portals into the nature. So we record natural scenes, and then we display it in healthcare environment primarily, especially in rooms where they don't have windows.
The photographs or videos that Radim takes are framed in skylights or windows and illuminated from behind. The scene could be anything from a mountain stream to an ocean shoreline. As you gaze out the virtual window, an audio track adds to the illusion.
You know, they have made studies where these virtual windows and skylights, they directly affect the patient and their recovery rate. Yeah, so there's direct benefit with what we do.
Radim's work takes him to beautiful places all over the world. But one of his favorite places to take photographs is only a short bike ride from where he lives. He goes there as day turns to night to try and capture with his camera the magic of bioluminescence found in fireflies. It's a passion that grew from photographing other insects while a student in college.
And as a student, I didn't have the resources and the time to travel. So being able to go in the backyard, you know, behind school, in the flower field, and find this incredible life that is happening right there, and then see it through the camera lens, capture it, and then show it and share it with other people. That was exciting. That was really exciting. So the fireflies was kind of the extension of my insect photography passion.
Radim grew up in the Czech Republic. He says he only remembers seeing fireflies twice as a child.
You know, back in Czech Republic, there are very few fireflies. It's very rare to see them. When I came to United States, to Iowa, and the fields would illuminate with this flashing lights. It was just so amazing. It's magical.
When shooting fireflies, Radim starts in the evening when they're just starting to come out and there's still enough light to be able to focus on a single firefly. Once it gets too dark to see and exposure times become longer, Radim concentrates on capturing communities of fireflies.
I'm exposing it long enough to see the contours of the trees and the grass. And as I do that in a long exposure, the fireflies are flashing. And every time there's a flash, it gets imprinted onto the digital chip of the camera. So at the end, the result is more fireflies than one can see at one moment.
Other than increasing his exposure times, Radim doesn't manipulate the pictures he takes. He says he prefers to preserve the moment the way nature did it.
You know, I am all about the visual aesthetics, the beauty. You know, I like to capture the beauty. That's in my heart. I love that. I am not a scientist.
It is, however, the science of bioluminescence that makes fireflies seem so magical.
My favorite animals in the world are fireflies. I think that the two most fascinating things to have ever evolved in the living world are flight and bioluminescence, the ability of organisms to create their own light. And in fireflies, we see an animal that has evolved both.
Brendan Dunphy is a research associate at Iowa State University whose expertise is mosquitoes. However, Dunphy's passion is fireflies.
There are probably more species than what you think. There are actually 150 to 200 species in the United States, but we probably come across a handful every summer here in Iowa. Now, this happens to be Photinus pyralis, which is known as the pyralis firefly or the Big Dipper firefly because of the way that it dips in its path of flight.
According to Dunphy, the bioluminescence in fireflies serves two purposes. The first is to warn predators that they're poisonous and inedible. The second is to find a mate.
So you have to realize that when a firefly flashes, it communicates at least 3 pieces of information: its species, its sex, and its exact location. And those 3 things are really all you need to be able to find a mate.
Fireflies only bring the magic of bioluminescence to Iowa for a few short hours each night during the summer. It could be why people find them so interesting.
I don't think I can ever become tired of watching these things at night. They are one of the true wonders of the natural world, not only biologically, but also artistically.
After decades of covering Iowa's outdoor environments for the Des Moines Register, photographer and writer Larry Stone is still capturing moments in nature.
With a renewed focus on the next generation, Larry's perspective and prior work has motivated him long into retirement.
Larry Stone says he's been taking pictures for over 50 years. If his name sounds familiar, it's probably because for half of those years, he was shooting photographs and writing articles for the Des Moines Register about the wonders and issues facing Iowa's outdoor environment.
Which was the best job in the world. I really enjoyed that. Got to see a lot of the state of Iowa and meet a lot of people in natural areas. And you know, I didn't pretend to be the expert. I was getting other people to tell me the stories of Iowa and conservation and nature.
Larry believes he wrote over 3,000 articles during his 25 years with the Des Moines Register. Since he retired from the paper in 1997, he's written 5 books. The first book he wrote, Listen to the Land, is a collection of stories he wrote for the paper that were personal reflections of the beauty he's found throughout the Iowa landscape.
I chose that title, listen. It doesn't have to be just with your ears, I guess. You can taste, hear, see, smell, experience the land, and then you can call that listening, I guess. And that was kind of the idea behind that title.
2 of the books Larry has written were co-authored with ornithologist and longtime friend John Stravers. They are tributes to 2 of the state's most recognized and respected naturalists, Sylvan Runkle and Gladys Black.
Sylvan and Gladys were both kind of characters. Gladys was a character in her own right. She started educating people, and education was her big thing, teaching people about birds.
In the little abdomen, you can see the intestines and everything.
And I think she probably did more to get more Iowa people interested in birds than any other one person ever could have.
This is, some people call it an itchweed, some people call it a nettle.
Sylvan was a little bit more laid back or subtle in his mission. He was always happy to go give a talk to anybody who was willing, to have him. He delighted in talking about, especially about wildflowers. That was kind of his field of expertise. So he was kind of Iowa's premier naturalist.
Larry grew up on a farm in Warren County. Even while doing chores, he says there were constant opportunities to observe and appreciate nature's wonders.
Whether feeding the cattle or, something as unglamorous as hauling manure out to the field, while you could, there would be birds to see or sometimes wildlife around, or just, a lot of things to do on the farm. Pick wild plums, pick wild grapes, and pick wild strawberries, and just the opportunities that I had that not enough kids have an opportunity to do now.
Larry has spent his life planting seeds he hoped would grow into an appreciation of the state's prairies, woodlands, and waterways. Nowadays, as a member of the Clayton County Conservation Board, he works to protect those resources.
Our board, one of our primary focuses and missions is that conservation education and awareness to make people appreciate and protect what we do have. That's our future when you get right down to it. I mean, if the kids of the future are going to have any place to enjoy or to fish or to swim or canoe, we've got to take care of what we got now, because we seem to keep losing it.
And as Papa Larry, he spends a lot of time nurturing a respect for Iowa's natural environment in his grandchildren. He does it in part by sharing with them what he knows about photography. But the camera is just one of the many tools he uses to expose them to the wonders of nature.
It's a cliche, but kids don't play in the dirt enough anymore, and if you're going to take care of the planet, you got to have an appreciation for it and get your fingers dirty. And I hope, are we accomplishing getting your fingers dirty? I hope so.
I think so.
I hope so. I hope so. We got to climb trees, we got to pick up acorns, we got to look for snails and watching birds, and a lot of things to do besides take pictures. That's good for me, because I sometimes get too focused on only this flower or this image, and I forget about the things around me. So when I have the grandkids along, that helps me appreciate the other things too. Tell you what, I had the best job in the world for 25 years at the Des Moines Register, yeah. And I still have got the best job in the world. When you can go out anytime you want to and photograph outdoors with the kids, why, that's hard to beat.
Outdoor environments can be a form of therapy. For one Iowa man, nature played a crucial role in recovering from a tragedy, an incident that wreaked havoc on his family and later his own mind.
The natural beauty of our own Amana colonies and its calming presence brought serenity, and with it, a new chapter in the life of one outdoor photographer.
Among the frosted vegetation and wind-swept trails surrounding the Amana colonies.
This reminds me of the old days. Well, because I'd be out there on the water. Not the water, but on the lake.
You may find a quiet photographer searching for beauty and discovering outdoor inspiration. Documenting every season of the year, David Husingfeld frequents this scenic location, recording the simple details of nature, a frozen lily, or a milkweed waving seeds into the frigid air. Lily Lake is where David discovered his photography skills later in life, and where he came to grips with something deeper, and tragically, much darker than a winter's night. David spent 25 years teaching behavior disorder students in Cedar Rapids.
That was tell me, that was a real tough group of people to work with.
You were good, though. You were darn good, and you had the record in the Cedar Rapids district for lasting that long.
His wife, Carol, an Amana Colony's native, shared the region's beauty with her husband and later their 2 children, Jordan and Forrest.
It's just a magical place, being around in the colonies. The mill race, or the Iowa River coming through, or the trumpeter swans, or the deer.
That's
summer, winter, it's just all beautiful.
On August 27, 2003, David and Jordan were returning from the Amanas. Along a nearby highway, an F-150 pickup crossed the center line, striking the Husingfelds head-on. Oldest son Jordan was killed instantly. David, knocked unconscious on impact and bleeding profusely, faintly recalls the off-duty firefighter that applied a life-saving tourniquet to his left arm.
I almost bled out. I almost bled out. It was really, just within a few minutes, and I would have been gone.
When David finally arrived in Iowa City, it was by Life Flight helicopter, and following emergency surgery, his life was spared. In an instant, the Husingfeld family was changed forever.
He was without oxygen for an unknown period of time, and I mean, he did take a blow to the head, but
that was a car accident.
Yeah, it was a car accident, and you had several surgeries on your arm, and that first year was just a total blur and a total mess for all of us, having lost our oldest son, and just David's injuries, and then you did go back to work teaching, but things weren't exactly the same, and looking back now all these years, it's maybe there were some really early subtle signs that nobody caught on to.
Over the ensuing months, family and doctors observed changes in David's mental acuity. Memory lapses, time gaps, and confusion confronted the 25-year teacher who had spent a career in classrooms helping students with their own problems. David would later write, "I struggled with intense grief, sadness, and regret, and I felt miserable. I reluctantly retired from teaching and pondered what to do next."
David's search for answers led him back to Amana and a frozen Lily Lake. Stepping onto the crackling ice, he discovered a new world below and raced to find his camera.
You could just see it, just for every little detail of it, which I thought was fantastic.
Lilies frozen in time. It sparked an awakening in David, and he began a new chapter photographing the Amana colonies. Its farm fields, its landscapes, its creatures. The nearby miles-long mill race, and its very special Lily Lake.
Nobody else was out there looking at them. And the Lily Lake is pretty big. I could walk around the whole thing and get nice pictures, no matter how. I always could get good pictures, it seemed like.
With it no longer safe for David to drive, he ventured out with the help of family friends like John Johnson. He hiked the fields, trails, and countryside of an Iowa landscape best known for its German communal heritage. This newfound passion culminated in a published book, The Amana Landscape. It's a project devoted to the region's history, but more importantly, to hundreds of beautiful images, all taken by David.
It's surprising, but I just feel so proud of David for having done this.
Well, especially getting up with But being a brain injury and being still able to do things is pretty lucky.
David and Carol would later travel to book events in New York, accepting photography awards for a man who never intended fame from a frigid trip to Lily Lake.
It was a blast. Very cool.
When something shuts off, there's something else that's there that can be found and can be turned on, and you can find your way out of the darkness, and often it's through nature.
David had awoken something deep inside that didn't exist before the accident. As the son of a famous photographer, David had grown up in the industry, but chose a different path in education.
She was very surprised about it. I don't know if you ever heard of Joan Liffring Zugberay. That's my mom.
David's mother was amazed by his work, despite the ongoing mental trauma of memory loss. After assisting in its publication, she would later say his book was a triumph for anyone facing a mental or physical handicap.
I have a keen mind for forgetting.
Because that's a positive way to look at it. Yeah, your short-term memory is just really almost non-existent anymore. And
But I get by.
Yeah, you get by. And we've figured out ways to deal with it. It is a frontal temporal lobe dementia, which is what the diagnosis has been. And there has been somewhat of a decline over the years.
The journey for David is ongoing. Since the book's release in 2012, his short-term memory continues to decline. He now resides at an assisted living facility in Iowa City, adorned with his favorite photos.
I think it's quite beautiful too. And it looks like little things playing in the water.
I think just going through what he went through made him see the world a little bit differently. Looking at these pictures makes me realize how incredibly special it is. And I've started looking at things a little bit differently when I go out in the woods. I mean, there certainly were dark times. We were in the dark times for quite a while. And for David, this helped you get out of those dark times. And really,
it's true, really did. Well, you have to have an outlet.
And really discover and find something else to help you fill your mind and to fill your day that you really enjoyed.
But Carol, his wife of more than 30 years, says David still yearns for day trips back to the Amanas, back to the mill race, and back to Lily Lake. Nestled along the edge of Lily Lake sits a bench marked in dedication to their son, tragically lost more than a decade ago. The first page of David's book has a similar message. He titled his favorite sunset, "In Memory of Jordan."
That wraps up this special photography edition of Iowa Outdoors. We encourage you to check out our extensive video archives of more nature photography and adventures from across the state at iptv.org/Iowa Outdoors.
Iowa Outdoors will continue with monthly installments throughout the year. For now, we'll leave you with some more images of the Iowa Outdoors.
Funding for Iowa Outdoors is provided by the Claude P. Small, Catherine Small Cousins, and William Carl Cousins Fund at the Lincoln Way Community Foundation in Clinton County to support nature programming on Iowa Public Television.
Iowa Communications Network. The ICN supplies authorized users with dedicated internet and data connections to enhance their mission of protecting the citizens of Iowa with a private and secure statewide fiber optic network.
Many of Iowa's natural wonders you'll find on IPTV can be found in Iowa Outdoors magazine, the Iowa DNR's premier resource for conservation, education, and recreation activities. Subscription information can be found online at iowadnr.gov.